Little Elm is one of the most underrated suburbs in the entire DFW metro in my opinion, but honestly, not a lot of people would agree with me. You see, for some reason, Little Elm is rarely actually considered as an option for a lot of people moving here. And to be honest, I don't really get why. Now, there's obviously some cons of living in Little Elm, but there's a ton of pros that we're gonna talk about today. But ultimately, it's gonna come down to your personal preferences and what's important in your home search. So today we're gonna talk about both the pros and the cons of living in Little Elm, Texas, so you can make your own opinion. My name is Michael Caraway, and my team and I help people just like you move to the Dallas area. And on this channel, we talk about what it's like to live in the Dallas area, as well as some of the best places to live, so you can find out once and for all if Dallas is a good fit for you or not. So Little Elm is located on the banks of Lewisville Lake in Denton County, just 32 miles north of downtown Dallas, 19 miles east of Denton, and is a neighbor to the popular town of Frisco. Little Elm isn't the biggest suburb by any means, with the most recent census in 2020 recording a population of only 46,000 people, but for such a small population, there are a lot of positives for living in Little Elm, Texas. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into the pros first, then we'll get to the cons later. You're gonna wanna make sure to stick around for some of those cons because there are two very important ones that you need to consider. The first pro to living in Little Elm, Texas is the outdoor recreation opportunities. Little Elm's located on Lewisville Lake, which brings a ton of different opportunities for you to get outside and enjoy the natural beauty. Now, is Lewisville Lake the most beautiful lake I've ever seen? Not by any means. There's always a running joke that any lake in Texas is just a big old mud pit. But it's still safe water to use, people use it all the time, and it's a popular recreation opportunity to do here in the DFW metro. So if you're into boating or stand-up paddleboarding, or you like kayaking, or you just like being around water, then Little Elm could be a good fit for you because of its close proximity to the lake. Something else that comes along with the territory of having a lake is the opportunity to have a beach. And Little Elm Beach is an awesome place to go with the family. It's really well maintained, a nice little beach area, a lot of swimming area that is roped off for you and your family to go swim. They got places to buy food and drink. And something else that's really cool is that there are 10 sand volleyball courts on the beach as well that are in its own dedicated area, and super nice, and they do leagues out there as well. So if you're into volleyball, that's an awesome win as well. The other cool thing is that if you're into kayaking or biking or paddleboarding, you don't have to go buy your own equipment. You can actually rent it right at the beach. So that definitely makes it more an accessible sport instead of going out and spending hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars to buy the equipment to actually enjoy the lake. Now, for me personally, when I'm looking at outdoor recreation at different towns, what I like to do is look at the trail situation. You know, are there soft trails? Are there hard trails? Places that you can go run, bike, hike, you know, get out into nature. And to be honest, Little Elm has a pretty decent trail system. It's a lot better than most of the suburbs in the DFW metro, and it actually allows you to get into nature a little bit. Now, the best trail in Little Elm, in my opinion, and the one that I use the most often, is the Lakefront Trail. And the Lakefront Trail runs from the Lakefront District in Little Elm, which we're gonna talk about here in a little bit. Make sure to stick around for that. And goes all the way to McCord Park. All in all, it's about 4 miles long, and most of the trail is that crushed gravel, which is soft and good on the feet when you're running and walking. I personally like this trail a lot because it's completely tree lined. A lot of canopies are formed over you from the trees. You have views of the lake along the way, and all in all, you're weaving in and out of nature throughout the trail. So it's personally one of my favorite places to go because you can get into nature, which is pretty rare in the DFW metro. And if you're into fishing, there's actually several access points going through this trail as well that you can get to the lake. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, another huge component of outdoor recreation that a lot of people bring up to me when we're looking for the right place for them is access to golf courses. Now, Little Elm itself doesn't have a golf course, but you're really close to a lot of golf courses in neighboring Frisco. So if you're into golf, you can get to the PGA district and the courses that are up there. You get to the trails of Frisco, and you can get to places like Frisco Lakes, probably within a 15-minute drive, depending on where you're located within Little Elm. All right, the second pro to living in Little Elm, Texas is the lower home prices. Listen, a huge reason why DFW was such a popular place to move during the pandemic was that people realized that they could cut their house budgets significantly by living here and still get access to so many great amenities. That's why you've seen a lot of people that have moved from California or New York City or Boston or Washington, tons of places like that. But the reality is that DFW has gotten pretty expensive. Still more affordable than a lot of those other places, but relatively to looking at the DFW Metro specifically, it has gotten a lot more expensive over the past few years. But one of the most accessible markets as far as home prices go, in my opinion, is going to be Little Elm. The median sales price in Little Elm, Texas is typically around $400,000 up to $430,000, which in my opinion is a reasonable median sales price. As far as the range of home prices, you're typically going to find homes in the low 300s all the way up to multiple $1 million. And some of those lakefront properties are absolutely gorgeous once you get into that $1 million mark and up. So if that's something you're looking for, Little Elm could be a good spot to find a lakefront property. So yes, the homes are more affordable in Little Elm, and honestly, that's why I like it so much. You're really not sacrificing a ton to be in Little Elm. You still get great homes, great neighborhoods. You can get new construction possibly. You just have to be a little bit further away from the conveniences that a place like Frisco has, for example. I'm guessing if you've been considering a move here, you've heard of Frisco and you've been thinking about possibly wanting to move there, because that's where typically people start their search. Frisco is one of the towns that people just know of, and it's getting a lot of national attention. And honestly, there's a lot of attractions and entertainment options for families and things that tend to draw people toward Frisco. Home prices in Frisco are expensive, a lot more expensive than Little Elm. And so if you're not comfortable paying the prices of Frisco, but you want access to the conveniences of Frisco, then Little Elm is a great spot because you're probably only about 15 minutes away from everything you need in Frisco at a much lower cost. So the value in Little Elm is one of the highest values in all of the DFW Metro if you're looking to be close to Frisco. All right, the third pro of living in Little Elm, Texas is the new construction opportunities. Now, a lot of people that reach out to me from YouTube tend to want to find a new construction home rather than a resale home. I get both, but for some reason, new construction tends to be the most popular. And Little Elm is one of those places that tend to be a popular request because of all the new construction opportunities. And the fact is that the new construction in Little Elm tends to be a little bit more conveniently located compared to a lot of the other new construction communities in the DFW Metro. By far the most popular and requested neighborhood in Little Elm is Union Park. Union Park is a master plan community that's gonna have over 3,400 homes, and it's one of the best around. Beautifully landscaped, they've got tons of amenities like pools, they've got a food truck court, they've got a central park, tons of little playgrounds throughout the community, trails, and a ton of beautiful homes. So if you're looking in Little Elm, definitely add Union Park of your places to look into. Some other communities that people tend to look at are Valencia on the Lake, Prairie Oaks, Spiritus Ranch, and a lot more. And if you're interested in seeing all the new construction opportunities that match your criteria in Little Elm or anywhere in the DFW Metro, then reach out to me and I can help put a list together for your specific needs. All right, the fourth pro to living in Little Elm, Texas is the close accessibility to the Lakefront District. The Lakefront District is a family-friendly entertainment district on the banks of Louisville Lake. It's definitely one of the most popular hangout spots in Little Elm, and people from other communities tend to flock here as well because it is such a cool place. So in the Lakefront District, you're gonna have a combination of things like retail space, residential space, you got apartments there, and you got a hotel there as well. You got a lot of entertainment options, and this is actually where Little Elm Beach is located as well. Now, the center of the Lakefront District is going to be the park. There's a 2-acre park that has a stage outside where they do a lot of movies or they possibly do concerts sometimes. And it's where the community tends to gather at community events. So if you have kids, it's a great spot to take them. One of the most unique opportunities in the Lakefront District is Hydrus Wake Park, which is a cable wakeboard park that allows you to wakeboard without having to go behind a boat. You can also kneeboard there as well. And they also have some water obstacle courses that are really cool too for the family. It's definitely a place to check out. Now there's plenty of dining options in the Lakefront District, but two of my favorites personally are gonna be 10 Men Social and 575-degree Pizza. And honestly, I'm kind of confused if you call it 575 or 575, or if you even mention degree in the title. I don't know what it's actually called. Just look up 575 and pizza and it's probably gonna pop up. 10 Men Social is a really cool spot to go. Imagine a place where you can dine, drink, and play games. We've got some pretty decent food, lots of great drink options, and the games are really, really cool. You got axe throwing, ping pong, bocce ball, shuffleboard, bowling, arcade games, ping pong, and a lot more. So it's a great place to take the family and just hang out. Now the last pro that we're gonna talk about today is the location. Now I'll preface this all by saying that the location is actually also a con. We're gonna talk about that here in a second. But on the positive side of the location, everything you need in Frisco and Plano is within a really easy commute. Listen, truth be told, a lot of people that live in Collin and Denton County actually tend to either work from home or work within Collin and Denton County. Obviously, there is a good chunk of people that are commuting to downtown Dallas as well or other places in the metro. But especially for people that are moving from out of state, a lot of people find themselves finding jobs within Collin and Denton County or just simply working from home. So if that sounds like it's gonna be you, then I would definitely consider Little Elm. Like we talked about earlier, Little Elm is a more affordable cousin to Frisco. You get access to everything that Frisco has without all the steep prices. There's a lot of employment in Frisco. There's gonna be a ton more employment as time goes on here. And you can tell that by all of the office space that's going up here. It's absolutely insane. You got plenty of opportunities in Plano as well for employment. And so honestly, if those are gonna be your places that you're commuting to, then Little Elm is very convenient. Like I said earlier, if you think you're gonna be spending a lot of time in Frisco just on the entertainment side, and if you're looking for something to do on a Saturday, for example, then Frisco's really not all that far away from Little Elm. So I really like the location if your life is going to be kind of in this little bubble of Collin and Denton County. But let's stay on the location aspect for a second and actually flip it over to the first con of living in Little Elm, Texas, which is its location. So there's actually a few things to talk about here on the cons as far as the location goes. And the first one is if you're gonna be commuting to downtown Dallas, it's not the best commute. So if you're gonna be commuting to downtown Dallas, you're likely gonna need to hop on Dallas North Tollway or Sam Rayburn Tollway. And if you live in Little Elm, you don't have easy access to either of those tollways. And so you're gonna be just taking your typical roads to get to those tollways. But you'll spend a significant amount of time on those roads just to get to the tollway, and then you have the commute to Dallas itself. All in all, I just don't think that Little Elm is a great location to be if you're gonna be commuting all the time, because you're probably 15 to 20 minutes away from the tollways, depending on where you're living, and then the additional commute once you get on the tollway. And those tollways, especially as you get closer to downtown, are gonna be backed up. So I just don't see it being a very good commute for you if you are gonna be living in Little Elm. Now I mentioned there's multiple layers to this location discussion, and this next one I'm gonna bring up is actually just to the very north part of Little Elm. There's a little bit of Little Elm that actually creeps above the Highway 380 that you see that goes east and west. And that's where you find a lot of the new construction neighborhoods and neighborhoods like Union Park, for example. Union Park is absolutely amazing, and I love when people want to move up there. But the real big challenge about places that are above 380, especially a place like Union Park, is that the infrastructure up there is not that great right now, and there is a ton of traffic up there. You have to be really strategic about when you are commuting when you live above 380. 380 gets really backed up certain times of the day, and all of these side roads that get you to the new construction neighborhoods that are above 380 tend to get pretty jam-packed as well, with construction traffic as well as just your typical commuter. And so if you're commuting to downtown Dallas, then in my opinion, you really need to cross off the north part of Little Elm. It's just gonna be way too much of a headache, in my opinion, for you to have to deal with that. But if you're gonna be commuting to a place like Plano or Frisco for your employment all the time, or you're just working from home, then this won't be as big of a challenge. You're still gonna have to deal with the traffic and the congestion up there, but it's not gonna be for as long of a commute because you're only gonna be going to Plano or Frisco. So keep that in mind. Depending on what your work life is gonna look like, you may or may not wanna cross off that north part of Little Elm above 380. The second negative about living in Little Elm is the school quality. I always use a resource called greatschools.org to get a gauge of the school quality based on a third party's opinion. And that's what I'm gonna share with you today. And according to greatschools.org, 75% of schools in Little Elm are considered below average in school quality, and the remaining 25% are considered average. That means there's 0% of schools that actually rank above average in Little Elm. Now, another metric that Great Schools offers is the district student progress. And this is just a way that they measure student progress compared to the rest of the state. And according to greatschools.org, 75% of students scored below average, 25% scored average, and above average, there was 0. So hey, greatschools.org definitely puts Little Elm in a little bit more of a gloomy situation compared to some of the other suburbs. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. That's definitely something you need to do some more research on as well. And the last con to living in Little Elm, Texas is the bugs. Because you're located near Louisville Lake, there typically tends to be more bugs, especially things like gnats and mosquitoes. So no matter where you are in the process, reach out. My job is to help you find the perfect place to call home here in the DFW Metro. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email anytime. Seriously, my job is to help you find the perfect place to call home here in the DFW Metro. Until next time, I'll see you later.